Glad to have you back on Ivan Daybreak. I'm sure you enjoyed every segment we had for you today. We obviously have more for you, talking about the money motivation. Businesses use advertising to accomplish goals, and companies place those ads in diverse media in order to reach their target audience, be it traditional venues such as newspapers and general interest magazines, or via online platforms. Our focus today on Money Motivation segment is the business of advertising. And in the studio we have Bolu, the CEO, H Plus Creative. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So your full name, Bolu Opaniran.
Yes,
all right.
Bolu
Yeah, thank you so much, Bolu, for
great.
joining us. Yeah. So talking about advertising, a lot of companies you cannot talk about the success of a company without advertising. And interestingly, you're an expert in advertising, so give us more, or expatiate what advertising is and the need for advertising.
Okay, in simple terms, advertising is bridging the gap between your offering as a company, as a brand, with the target, with the need of the target. So it is about coming up with measures at which you can pass what you have as value to the people who need that value. So it comes in form of different communication tools, strategies in order for you to achieve, meeting a need. So that is advertising, creating that awareness, visibility, and consciousness, so that people can know that you have a value that they need.
So I want to take quickly, you mentioned pass what you have as value to people who need that value. Now, some people may not, before now, some companies didn't see a need for so much advertising like advertising is currently in vogue now. So it's now the duty of the advertising firms or agents or agencies to make the companies realize the need. So now they don't even know they need such platform. So as an expert, where do you come in making the company realize that you actually do need maybe a different level of advertising for what you already have now?
Okay, unlike before, we have a higher level of competition in the world generally, because you are not playing within the jurisdiction you operate, because there's a global, global market right now because of social media and internet. So you have to play at at a higher level, because your competition is not just someone close to you. If you have a solution, you are competing with another company, in another country entirely, because internet, with the presence of internet, people can connect with anybody anywhere for their problem to be solved. So you need to come up with a very active communication. So I think nobody needs to be told. You will feel the impact of your silence. So you need to ensure you are actively communicating your value. So that is why advertising is needed. So if you choose not to do it, the result will show in your sales, it will show in your brand awareness, it will show in your in how people talk about your brand. So you need to, right now companies, they have a separate budget for advertising. So it is something you can't do without. So companies need to understand the importance, the impact, and the need for advertising.
Okay, you mentioned social media being a global market, and how companies need to advertise because they do not operate within their jurisdiction in terms of location. Now, what I'll bring to the question, the impact of social media in advertising, because it's gone, from the conventional means of your radios and newspapers. We now have it, on social media, infused into skits, music, comedy, dance, and the rest of them. So what's the impact of social media in the business of advertising?
I think I know that the new word we are into right now is the word of digital expression. So we cannot separate the development of technology from the impact of communication. So advertising ride on communication. So social media is what is in vogue right now. That is where people are, and you meet people where they are. So we cannot separate social media from what the reality of advertising is right now.
All right, so just take us through some levels or some types and levels of advertising.
So we have the traditional advertising.
Okay.
We have the influencer advertising, whereby you make use of, the traditional advertising, the radio, TV, but we have the influencer marketing and advertising, whereby you make use of influencers, talents. We have the outdoor advertising, the billboards and all of those things. And there are other subtle ways at which people advertise, with movies, just for your brands to be seen by an actor, maybe or actress, using that brand. So there are diverse ways at which you can communicate. They are not just restricted to, to what is in the book. You get. So it depends on how you are able to think about, the strategy you want to deploy. So advertising is broad, and you can only bring your creativity to play when it comes to how you use it.
Let's look at the value chain, in advertising. As you've said, it's beyond, companies or brands trying to advertise, their products and services. There's that value chain there where it becomes business opportunities for other people involved, other stakeholders. You talked about influencers advertising, the use of influencers, they get paid and all of that. Let's take social media, for example, the value chain in terms of advertising a good or service.
Okay, so the value chain, is a bit lengthy. We have it first from, the agency. So for the agency, they have their, their staff. We have the creative department. We have, the logistic department, and the agency also make use of, maybe we call them people who maybe media buyers, newspapers, TV, where radio, where the content of the advertising will be deployed.
Yes.
Yeah. So we also, the value chain is stretchy. So that is one, and also the media guys, people who shoot the ad, the video editors, the videographers, the photographers, the designers, the voiceover artists. It's compressed.
Now,
Okay.
this really seems like it looks so broad. Yeah, it looks like something you have to know the intrigues, the nooks and crannies of all of these things to be able to excel as having advertised, to be, well, I don't know what advertising specialist, having it as a business, looking at advertising as a business. For what can it be a passive income, like someone has another job and still an advert specialist, or I don't know the term you use for your kind of job, probably a different term, but having it as a side, or it has to be, you have to devote your full time and attention to make it work.
Okay, it was asking me a question about the value chain. Some people, for you to be an advertising specialist, you might not be you might not actively do it, depending on your approach. Some people work as freelancers, freelancer copywriter. You can freelance as a copywriter. That's what I mean. You get why you have other things you do. But if you want to be in a system that does advertising, like you belong to to an advertising agency, that might not pass as passive, because you have a role, and communication doesn't stop. It's a cycle.
It's continuous,
so so your clients might have a need. in the middle of the night, and you have to be there. There might be a trend, I mean, online about a brand you manage. So you have to come up with a strategy to, I mean, to cross correct whatever is happening. So you might not have it as passive if you are under a system, but if you are maybe a freelance graphic designer, you can choose your terms, you can choose how you work. But I believe if you're under a system, that might not work as passive.
Okay, looking at, you know, the business of advertising now for brands, how costly can it be on a medium scale? We know the large scale could be the billboards, you know, outdoor billboards, the electronic, you know, signages and what have you, and then going all fronts from your conventional means of, you know, promoting goods and services, radio, TV, and the rest of them. But for a medium, you know, a small scale business, you know, SMEs, on an average scale, what will be the cost of advertising for a brand? Let's put it at a quarterly budget.
Okay, let me start off by saying what makes advertising effective is not how fat your budget is sometimes. It has to be about how effective your strategy and tools are. You get so, but when we talk about, I mean, something moderate, I would be saying you need to be on social media. You need to ensure you are consistently engaging your audience and your potential, I mean, customers. So you need that engagement and that flow of conversation. So you need to be on social media at least, basically, and you need to do qualitative, I mean, content, qualitative creatives that, I mean, that people can connect with at a level you want them to. So and that is dependent on the growth of the company
as well.
You get so as an SME, you can do something within your own, I mean, growth level. So, but if you are a top league company, you have other, I mean, concerns beyond social media. There are internal communications. I mean, there are diverse ways at which you are having things running. But for an SME, I think if you can get an agency that can do something for you within the range of 500,000 naira and a million naira, you should be able to get an effective communication done within the framework of advertising, at least.
All right. So what is the most effective means of advertising currently? Lately, there has been the use of celebrities and influencers. Well, celebrities and influencers are almost the same thing. So what's the most effective means of advertising? In those days, we used to have billboards, radio jingles, and all of that stuff. But now it seems the trend is changing. And does the trend change continuously, or is something we recreate and make and as a trend, or it just comes naturally and it changes naturally?
Okay, as advertisers, we move to where people are. We don't really determine. We can call for their attention, but we need to be in their faces. However, in this present time, the attention span has reduced. Even when people are in their cars, they are very engaged with their mobiles, mobile phones, and they are, I mean, people are not really present within the geographical space they are in per time. So social media is the real thing right now. I mean, and we have the population of the youths, I mean, majorly, I mean, the major population is that of the youth, and the youths are really engaged in social media. So I think however, it depends on your offering and your target. So, but I believe within a general approach, social media is the real thing.
Okay.
That is where the larger population is, and that is where the attention is. So if you can drive your communication within that framework, you are going to get the result.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we have a couple of things to ask you, but for the want of time, we just have to wrap up this segment. But quickly, in 30 seconds, what are those basic skills you need to be an advertising specialist? 30 seconds, please.
So I think basically, there are advertising schools in Nigeria, and I know of 2. I went to one, and
okay.
I went to Otu Academy.
Yeah,
Lagos.
you are going to pay for this advertising you're doing.
Apologies for that. So, but it gave me a leverage,
All right.
and that is a good place I believe someone should start from.
So start from.
Alright.
Because it will give you the broad understanding you need to have and what you need to build on as you go along the journey.
Okay.
So, and also, you might start off like I did. I started off as a graphic designer,
Okay.
and that is a skill I learned, but that wasn't enough.
All right.
So I needed to build on it and learn art direction.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Bolu
you.
Opaniran, for, I got that correctly, yeah.
Perfectly.
For joining us and sharing your thoughts on this. Thank you. We appreciate your time on the show this morning.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for
pleasure to
having
have
me.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, that was the CEO of EdPlus Creative, Bolu Opaniran, right here, sharing with us the intrigues of advertising, the business in it, which is very important because it's our money motivation segment. Well, we'll take a short break now as we coast home to the show today. Up next, we have the sports segment, and then we'll wrap up the show with the quote of the day. Please stay with us.